So, good morning. I am assuming everyone can see me and everything's fine, and I hope you're having a great morning so far. Please join the Discord channel. Staying curious with clean language. I'd love to see your comments fly in real time. A bit about myself. So, I'm Damian. I have been a developer, an agile coach, a scrum master, all the things. And during my time as those things, I have found this coaching model to be really good. What? Yeah. Morning. So what I'd like to do is just start with a bit about clean language. So I am I'm excited to bring this to you. And I'm excited to bring it because I was actually developing this talk at WeCamp about 2 years ago. And some of the coaches and attendees may recognize some of the questions that I've brought along today to begin with. So let's begin. Okay. So what if that conversation you had earlier today, last week, a month ago, um, about this story, about this ticket, didn't have to go the way it did? What if you both could have aligned on the same understanding and come away with the same understanding to develop the ticket right first time? Well, clean language gives you a way to do this. So, what is clean language? Well, clean language really is a way of of having a conversation without putting your stuff in it, without putting your assumptions or your understanding. And this is really important because sometimes when we're listening to other people, we're listening to reply, we're not listening to understand. So, has anyone heard of clean language before or come across it? And feel free to chuck that into the channel if you have or haven't. And I'm watching as we go along, and I'll respond as needed. Okay. So really, clean language is a way of having a conversation to help other people understand themselves, and you to understand them as part of that conversation. Okay, without putting your stuff in. Because it was a coaching model developed by David Grove, who's sadly no longer with us. But he was developing this model as part of being a trainee. Let's get this right, therapist. So he was part of his job was to start writing up the notes at the end of each therapy session. And as he was writing up the notes, he started to notice a pattern. This is really exciting. He noticed that the patients responded better to the therapy treatment and followed up on actions given the way the questions were being asked back to them. What he noticed was the therapists who replayed what they had heard got better results than those who listened, reinterpreted, and played back to the patient. The patient was less likely to succeed with the therapy with those therapists. So again, he started to notice sets of questions and way of asking questions to have these conversations going forwards. What he noticed, so what he noticed was they were pretty much open questions, and it was where the question was coming back in. It was where the question was coming back in to where the other person's stuff coming back into the question and how it was being played was really important. So, what kind of questions, you may ask? These kinds of questions. Okay, so I'll give you a minute just to view what's going on here. So how would you use this? Well, anywhere where the X is in this question format, you would put the other person's words in. So very quick, high-level example. You're looking at me and you go, hey, Damian, I noticed you got a donut. And what kind of donut is that donut? Let's start with the top one. And I would go, hey, it's a jam donut. And you would ask me then, is there anything else about that jam donut? So literally taking what I've just said and playing it back to me and put it in the right place in that question. I go, yeah, there is something about that jam donut. I usually get it from one of two places, right? I go to either a well-known supermarket in the UK, Sainsbury's, or I go to another chain of bakeries, Greg's. Okay, and then what happens next? Because now you're really curious, right? I've got this donut and you know where I may get it from. What happens next? Well, I eat it and then I consider having another one. And then I realize that maybe I don't want another one because I know how it makes me feel. And I mean, this isn't stroopwafel, right? This is a jam donut we're talking about here. So, and then what happens just before you have a donut, and that donut's like what? And it's easy enough to put the other person's words into the conversation, right? Good. So, for today, we're not going to concentrate on all of these. I believe, and I have consistently seen, that we can get by on just 2 of these clean language questions. What kind of something is that something? And is there anything else about that something? This is really useful because it's going to help you explore the other person's stuff, and it will help them understand themselves and you understand them as part of the conversation. So how does this help you? Okay, so real world example now, right? So if you do any kind of requirement gathering, example workshops, story mapping, that kind of thing, there usually comes 2 problems, right? There's one in the assumption that you know what the other person has said, and you've understood them and that they have understood you. By not giving that person a chance to explore what they've just said, either way, you can see how easy it is to gather the wrong requirements based on assumptions, right? And hand up, we've all kind of done that at some point or another, right? It's part of learning. It's great. So clean language and these 2 questions will help you understand the other person and understand them as part of that process. To do this, we need a demo. So I'm going to invite someone back into the conversation to help me with this demo. Stefan, are you there still?
Yes, I'm still here. Hi.
Yeah, great. Hey. So Stefan, my stooge for today, has kindly volunteered to perform the role of a product owner, a business analyst, a project manager. I'm going to let him decide, the stakeholder, okay?
Yes.
I will reprise my role as developer. Don't worry, I've got this, I think. We're still on PHP 4, right?
Of course, yes.
Of course. Great. Excellent. Okay. So there's going to be 2 demos. How it often happens, and then I'm going to demo how it could be better with clean language. So Stefan has a ticket, and I'm not sure if you can see me or not, but I'm going to try and hold something up to the screen, and it says user can check out. And the user can check out, and not only can you check out, Stefan has kindly given me 100 story points against the ticket because that's what he believes the value or the effort is worth. So, Stefan, you want the user to be able to check out. Would you like the user to be able to use PayPal?
Well, a lot of users use PayPal, so yes, that would be a great idea to use PayPal.
PayPal, great. And PayPal, that's great. What about the invoice system, right? Shall we have shall we have them? Shall we have the system email the invoice out?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yes.
You know what? I have a better idea. What if we connect it to a third-party API where we print it out and send it via mail? In fact, that'll get around GDPR. Trust me, it's fine. It's going to work. I also think you want, right, Apple Pay. Sounds good, right?
It's new, so we must have it.
We must have it. And no one uses Android, I assure you.
Yes, of course. Everyone is on Apple, so yes.
So everyone's on Apple, that's fine. And you know what? Because you've come to me, your best developer, I guarantee you this will be done in 5 days. Come down in 5 days and we'll launch it.
That's great.
Sounds good?
Yes.
Good? You know what? No, in fact, I'm lying. Come down in 3 days. I'm that good, and we'll launch it. No problem.
Whoa.
Nice. Blown his socks off. Right. I'm not available for PHP anymore. Okay, so that's the first demo. Okay, so notice what you notice. If you notice anything, start throwing it into the conversation. We're going to reset this now. And I'm going to show you the same demo using just the 2 clean language questions. So, reset. Okay. Hi, Stefan. I see you've come to me with this ticket. The user can check out.
Yes, they must check out stuff because we want to earn money.
Earn money. Great. And what kind of user can check out?
That would be our customer.
Our customer. Great. And what kind of checkout is that checkout?
Well, they need to add products to a shopping cart and then be able to pay it.
It's a shopping cart and be able to pay it. Okay, great. And is there anything else about adding to the shopping cart and being able to pay?
The user needs to be able to change the amount of the product they want to buy. They need to add their shipping address. Well, and of course, they need to pay with their preferred payment system.
Android, right? Pay with preferred
Yes.
system. Okay. And is there anything else about the customer?
This is a good question. We need to support every customer. Everyone.
Yeah, every customer. What kind of customer is that customer?
Well, that's people who like our products, that are interested in our products, and we're aiming for the 1%.
Aim for the 1%.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Stefan. So a round of applause for the stooge, everyone. Virtual applause. Thank you, Stefan.
You're welcome.
And if you notice, I'm trying to hold this up, all that stuff, okay, from those 2 questions. So what kind of customer, the checkout, is there anything else about the checkout? Things I learned as a developer that I didn't know before about this story. And even more amazing, right? Let's say we put some lines around some of these items, okay? Suddenly, I've now split this, the work up into smaller stories, into things I can investigate, okay? Maybe things for story mapping or example workshops to explore further. Okay, so that's perfect and fine. And notice what you notice, okay? Oh man, those applause, nice. Okay, so notice what you notice. So those are the main differences. All of that from those 2 questions. So here's the best part about this talk, right? It's not all about me talking at you. You get to experience using these 2 questions. So there's going to be some, we're pushing the boundaries of the technology today. But I'm going to set you up with some information. I'm going to post something in the channel in a second. But let me explain what I'd like you to do. And then we'll try it for a bit, and then we're going to switch over. So some house rules. Because I wouldn't be a great coach if I didn't make a safe space for everyone, as best as I could. Okay, so anything you hear from anyone else as you ask the questions, okay, keep it to yourself. It's confidential. It's their stuff. It's not yours. I think that's really important to highlight. Try and focus on what the other person's saying. Take notes if you can. Really important. Listen. So active listening, not listening to respond, but listening to understand what the other person's saying, and then using the question to try and understand how you're going to jump about. Be respectful. We don't know what's going to come out. I've done this so many times, and sometimes every so often people go, "Oh, when I was such and such an age, That's when I felt like doing X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, no, bring the conversation back to what you need, and bring it back to the map and what you're just actively discussing. And have a learning mindset. Be curious. There's no failure here, right? You're trying this possibly out for the first time, and you're trying it out possibly in a different language. I will send links to you for other languages and things like variations of this in different languages. So you'll be able to practice more often. So I'm going to ask you to group up into 2 or more groups. One of you has to ask the 2 questions. One of you has to agree to answer the 2 questions, and the others will observe what's going on. Those observing, you have the best job. I literally want you to throw back into the channel what you're noticing. Okay? Those answering the question, give as much information as you can. Give them enough details so someone asking you can be a bit more curious. And the person asking, you have the best job. You only have to ask 2 questions. So find out as much as you can about the answerers, the coachee, last either holiday or trip to work or bike or car journey. Okay, I feel those are safe enough. If you don't feel comfortable with that, then negotiate amongst you what you'd like to talk about. Okay, and that's absolutely fine. What I'd like you to do is just experiment and try the 2 questions. Okay, so I am going to put into the channel now 2 questions. If you're with someone at home, you don't have to jump in. I suppose you can take turns at asking. And notice what you notice about maybe it's the same holiday you both went on. Notice what you notice, what the other person says and what they think. So I'm just throwing this in now. So any of the 3 starter questions, what kind of, and is there anything else? If there's any questions, please throw that in. If you need help setting up, let me know. I'm going to give 4 minutes for this one. Okay, so all the observers keep throwing in what you're noticing. 4 minutes initially. I'm going to time it, and we'll find a way to bring you back. Stefan, any more information I need before we send them away?
No, I don't think so. I just posted in the channel the way to create a voice channel so that people can talk to each other in a group.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to try this for 4 minutes. I'm going to give you 4 minutes now, and then we'll try and bring you back. Live, hey. So, welcome back. I hope everyone's been able to make it back. So how was that for you? Trying that out for the first time, getting as far as you did. Even 2 minutes of it is fine. So some comments already. So just the first question, can you tell me about? Which was, can you tell me about? There was already immediately context given, which was built on more with what kind of X and anything else. Great. Okay. Does anyone feel weird about asking these questions? Did it sound right to you? What about yourself, Stefan?
Yeah, to put in my experience, I felt like I was more free to give context, to give information that in the first part. In the first part, it was all specific, very specific about the context you created. And in the second part, I was able to create my own context and give you all the information that's in my head instead of in your head.
Nice. Nice. I often find when I do this talk with others that they will have difficulty in trying to ask the question or frame the question in a way that's comfortable. And it's because everyone's so used to asking questions to respond to what they've just heard. I've had people literally try and wedge in a normal question for them inside the clean question. So why did you do it that way? just to get around the mechanics and the framework of this. So wondering how much info to give in your answers is a good one. you can keep talking. I'd suggest for purposes of this exercise, about 30 seconds or so is enough. Then let the person asking the questions be as curious as they want, and to jump around sort of your stuff and ask you questions about it. So, I was driving in my car. Well, what kind of car? Oh, it's a blue one, etc. Okay, so it can be as easy as that. Okay, no room for questions. All right, so keep it to 30 seconds. We're going to try this again. We're going to ask everyone to switch over. Now, go back into the rooms, or switch with the other person. Again, pick a topic, pick the 2 questions, and this time, again, we're going to give another 4 minutes to do this. Now you've had a go. So have a go. Go away. See you in a bit. Hello. Right, welcome back. I'm hoping everyone has had a longer chance to explore and try out those 2 questions. So, what did you notice this time round? Being the person asking the question, having switched from the first, from the answerer to the one asking, having that information and knowledge up front. Please share your thoughts on Discord, because there's no right or wrong answer here. Okay, this is literally experimentation time. So I see someone's adding things. Oh, no, okay, fine. Cool. So what do you notice? Notice what you notice. What I tend to find in doing this exercise with people, especially in groups, especially where you can meet up physically, is you get to see other people's body language, facial expressions. So that also helps you to identify where you could and couldn't explore. Excellent, Crackers found it easier the second time. You also mentioned that you think this talk could help in the hallway area for things to be less awkward, and you're right. I've had people use clean language questions in other parts of the world to talk to taxi drivers and find out more about what their life. Almost, it's really interesting to see how far you can push this. And this is very much a worldwide thing, right? This isn't my thing. It's something I've picked up on as part of coaching and becoming a coach, and I think it works nicely. If you use Cynefin, this is perfect for the complex and complicated spaces and uncovering and finding out more information. It's really interesting where it's been used. Okay, so a quick story. I say quick. So the first time I used clean language and understood the power of it, I was working at a fintech company. I was contracted out, and it was the product owner's last day. I was looking after multiple teams, but I was sitting with this team for some reason this day. And he brought down in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, a C-level exec, so the chief operating officer of the company. And this is a big multinational company, right? And I'm wondering, why have you brought this person down? Interesting. So came down, the product owner turned to me and said, "Hey, you're this team's coach. You want to listen to this?" I checked my calendar. I was like, "No, you've not put this appointment in. I'm skeptical what's going on here, right?" I'm not sure why someone so high up is coming down to the team. I'm all for visibility. I'm all for making things visible and being very open and honest and transparent where things are. But this was very unusual in this company, to say the least. So I declined the invite. I turned around and I got my pen and paper out. Okay, and I started just noting down things that were being said, not for evidence. Okay, let's stop that right now. Not for evidence, but just to understand if someone was getting to the point of the problem they were having, okay, or they wanted some sort of outcome. And I was writing for 10 minutes straight, and other people coming along trying to work out why this guy was down here. And no one knew. So I stopped the conversation and I turned around and I said, "Sorry." And I'm looking back at my notes. I went, What kind of problem is that problem? At that moment, he turned around and said, we have a customer who's threatening to leave because of a bug in production. I just want to understand when it can be fixed and how fast it can be fixed. At that moment, the Scrum Master I was coaching jumped in and said, we can do the good fix or the quick fix. And the good fix, we'll put quality in, it'll be 3 days. Or the quick fix, we can do it now, but we'll have to chuck something else out the next sprint to put the good fix in. And the chief operating officer was like, you know what? Do the good fix. I can go back and have that discussion with the customer. That's fine. At the same time, the product owner was trying to stop the conversation. It was really odd, but it was too late, right? The team had gotten together around the problem to solve it, and it was just this one question that kicked that all off. And for me, that was really magical. That was a great experience to have, and I was pleased with the outcome at the end of it. So, what I would suggest is next time you're having a conversation, just try and experiment with one of these two questions. Okay, if you're not sure about something, maybe the other person's not sure. So I can see here on Discord, so there is a danger of going too much down a rabbit hole, and you're right. It's a great point. Okay, so let's imagine we're all at WeCamp, and then suddenly the toaster's on fire, and someone runs up to Stefan and goes, "Stefan, the toaster's on fire," and Stefan just turns and looks and puts his hands on his chin and goes, "What kind of fire?" It's like, no, you solve the problem, right? Sometimes these questions aren't right for the right place and time, and you want to, and the right place, I find, is either when you're talking with a product owner, or you are genuinely curious about curious about what the other person has to say, and you want to understand more. It's a great way to let them express themselves. If you're a shy person, these questions really help you talk to someone else and build rapport really quickly with that shy person, with anyone else or that shy person. I find it's great because you're inviting them into this conversation. You're trying to build rapport really quickly. That's a nice thing to do. Okay, so coming up to about the final couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you all to take a moment to reflect, and I'm going to invite you to throw in what was most valuable to you and how you could use this going forwards into the channel. I'll read some of those out. While we're waiting for that to happen, Stefan, I also invite you to add your thoughts.
I think the most important thing that I learned is to ask more open questions instead of pushing my idea of something, because I create an idea pretty quickly when someone says we need X. But I shouldn't push my idea of that feature X onto the person, but I should ask open questions and see what they come up with instead of what I come up with.
Nice. Other places you can use this, and I've used it before, as a line manager, when I'm working with a person I'm line managing. It's great. Sometimes they don't know what they want to know. And asking what was most valuable to you, asking what kind of training would you like? Or is there anything else about that PHP course you want to go on? Helping them realize whether it's right for them or not, and valuable. And you'll be more of a servant leader, I find, in doing so. Keeping, okay, so for me, I think the valuable lesson is keeping it simple. These two questions are enough to get the ball rolling naturally. Yeah, definitely. I have found product owners in the place I've started at recently using these two questions without me even introducing them to it. I find that really interesting. Either they've come across it before, or they are just naturally curious people who want to know more about the thing they're looking at. So line management, stand-ups, your next refinement meeting, awesome. Any more for any more? Yeah, one more writing, and then I will wrap up. Are there any questions from me at this moment in time as well?
I could like to ask a question. Have you ever experienced people that even when asking these questions wouldn't open up to you, that wouldn't give you any information, and how would you try to get that information from them anyway?
It's a good question. Yes, I have experienced people not opening up, but I think that's where you need to recognize maybe you need to just step back away from asking those questions and maybe just ask the direct question. Maybe they want a direct answer. They've come to you for a real problem, and they've thought about it, and they don't really want to reflect anymore. That's a good point. Maybe it's something personal to them, and they don't really want to go more into it. Working at a company, you have here in the UK, you do have a sort of duty of care to other people, right? If you notice that they're not in the right space, sort of well-being, mental health, your duty of care is sort of go to HR or speak to the line manager. Sometimes people will come to you for one-to-one coaching. They'll use these questions, and sometimes you'll uncover things, and you have to be prepared to stop and just be human to the person. Park the questions and focus on them. And I say that with the caveat that because these questions have come from a therapy or therapeutic area, right, that you can start uncovering things you may not be aware of. So it sounds dangerous. What I've given you here is enough to focus on, actually, let's focus on the user story, not the person. But if you're going to start focusing on the person, you will help them start reflecting. And as people have said already, you can go down a rabbit hole. Okay, so yeah, would you use this in the coaching context? Yes and no. Yeah, and with the caveats before, for me, I have to make sure I've got the coaching contract there. I have to make sure I've got the trust and the relationship with the person that I can start asking this. I've got their permission, and they have permission to stop if they don't feel comfortable. If you're using it in a coaching context, if you're using it as a tool to uncover more about a story, then that's fine. If you're using it as a way to help someone reflect more and think about options and possibilities before them, be careful. It can help, but also just look after the other person. It's you don't want them going too deep into this, and point them to the right kind of help that's available to them. I can't stress it enough, really. But in saying that, you've all had a go at using it today, and you can see how you can use it, and you can start to get a feel for when enough's enough. You're going back to Stefan's point, going back to the point on Discord as well. The other clean questions I showed off at the beginning, specific situations, and more advice to stop going down the rabbit hole. Okay, so the clean language questions I used at the beginning, or a set of them, I'm going to post into Discord a link to where you can find those, and also how to use them. Okay, so there's some models like clarifying questions and other things. There's 2 books I kind of use. So if you can see it, there's Clean Language by Judy Rees. Okay, and it's about exploring metaphor. It has all the clean language questions in it. It's a really good book. The other one I like to use, and I use more for coaching and coaching at work, it's Clean Approaches for Coaches by Marian Way. Okay, what's really invaluable about this one is it uses something called the PRO model. So problems, remedy, or outcomes. And listening to the other person and trying to understand where they are, this book is invaluable in helping you move them on to sort of towards actions or outcomes, which is great. Yeah. So I'm going to post into the channel after this talk links to the other questions, links to the books I've just mentioned, and links to the questions in different languages, which you can find, and then explore some more for yourself. If you so wish, I'm also very happy to have a 30-minute chat. You just get hold of me via Discord or Twitter or something and book that in, and you can practice asking these or more questions, and I can help you through that. I'd like to offer that out and sort of be available to people to do that, so they don't feel too worried about using it too often. Okay, cool. So that's everything from me. Unless there's any more questions or anything from Stefan, please stay in touch using the Discord channel, and there's my Twitter handle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Damian. It was a great talk. For everyone, the Discord channel will remain open, so you can ask any questions there. And Damian, will you be around to answer questions?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. That means that we are going to take a short break. So if people want to get some coffee, because I saw some people craving for coffee. So if people want to get some coffee, go to the toilet, get something to eat or whatever, you have some time, because we will be back in about 30 minutes with Andreas Heigl with his talk, A Healthy Mind in a Healthy Body. Thank you very much, Damian.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.